There it is, the most awaited squad for the home World Cup for India. ICC ODI Men's World Cup 2023. The squad is here. The usual suspects. There are not many surprises in the squad. So let's get on to it. Rohit Sharma will captain the side, and we have the likes of Virat Kohli, KL Rahul, Shreyas Iyer, Surya Kumar Yadav, Mohammad Shami, Jasprit Bumrah in the squad. So Gomesh, let's get your thoughts on what are the first thoughts on this squad.
I think it's a fairly reasonable squad where they've covered almost all bases. So considering the resources they have, if you look at the way they have used the players in the last say 12 to 18 months, you'll have a fair idea that these are the kind of players, these are the names that keeps coming up, and these are the kind of names that you would have always expected to be in the 15 to 18. There is very little surprises, of course, because almost every role has a backup. Shreyas Iyer is now in the 11 and Surya Kumar Yadav is there as a backup, and they have Ishan Kishan, who is now playing in the 11, but if KL Rahul comes back, he'll be the backup wicketkeeper and probably a backup opener as well. And then Akshar Patel, like for Ravindra Jadeja, and then there is either of Shami or Siraj will be sitting out, so one fast bowling option is also there. So they've covered all the bases as well, but there are always going to be questions, some disappointments is there, but overall I think they've picked a very reasonable squad that could really compete really well in the coming tournament.
Do you think the Ishan Kishan factor, the wicketkeeper factor, KL Rahul being not getting that much match practice during the Asia Cup, he might in the Super Fours, and then Ishan Kishan, do you think that knock against Pakistan, that 80 plus score he scored against Pakistan in a very tricky conditions against one of the best pace bowling attacks, do you think that it somehow helped him leap over Sanju Samson, or it just...
No, I think Ishan was always going to be the primary wicket-keeping backup, because even during the West Indies series we saw Samson, even when he played, he did not keep wickets. It was Ishan Kishan who kept wickets, and they were shuffling him between the top order and the middle order as well. So it seemed like the team management was very clear and the selectors were very clear that Ishan is their backup wicket-keeping option, and credit to him, he has done well in every opportunity that he has got, so much that he also brings in a left-hander into the mix in the middle order, and he can take on spinners very well. It also puts a little bit of pressure on KL Rahul to do well. He has a really good record at number 5, KL Rahul, with Shreyas batting at number 4, but he has not had enough match practice, and it will be interesting to see how he transitions and where he bats in the Super Fours and the final, and how his thigh injury copes, because he's someone who has constantly had issues with hamstring injuries over the last few years. How he copes from here on into the World Cup will be interesting to see. And even if you ask me personally, even if not for Ishan Kishan being the backup wicketkeeper, I probably have had Sanju Samson in place of someone like Surya Kumar Yadav, because Surya has dominated the T20 format. He's clearly the best T20 batter from this country and probably one of the best in the world as well at this point in time, but he has not done as well in the ODI format. Samson too, but at the same time he has not gotten as much as opportunity as Yadav has in a specified role. Now they've tried Surya Kumar Yadav, it seems like they want to make him work. They have tried him in almost every position, and now if you ask me, he'll start in the first 11. He will not. He'll probably be a backup for Shreyas at this point in time. But even if he comes in, I think he'll be batting at number 6 with Hardik batting ahead of him, and he'll be playing the finisher role, batting in a very similar way that he bats in the T20 format. Considering that and what Sanju Samson offers as a proper middle order batter, someone who can really build an innings as well, I thought that's something that could have been different, but you can only... It's a very selections are always subjective, and they are given their rationale. So
you can only have 15 players in the squad,
exactly.
and you have to. what I feel about this is that from the Indian perspective, it's not about filling the spots, but it's about choosing it. If that makes sense, it's not about finding people for the spot. It's about choosing that one player to get the work done. Speaking about batting positions, one important discussion that came along during the Asia Cup and before the Asia Cup as well, where will Virat Kohli bat? 3 or 4, and then how it will go around. What is your say on that first of all?
Well, I'm probably on the minority here, considering I've always advocated for Kohli to come down at number 4 because he's the best batter in this team, best all-format batter in this team. Even at his peak, we've seen these batters do this before. Dhoni have done that. He batted at 3 and he moved down the order. And there was a period where in 2014-15 when Kohli would drop down, and even before the 2019 World Cup, Kohli will drop down. But the problem with that particular move is that Kohli was then captain as well. He'll drop down and then that move will not work in that particular match. India would lose or something would happen and the move would immediately change. He did not give himself a go for a longer period of time at number 4. But at this point in time, I feel like Kohli is set at number 3 and it's going to be either of Shreyas or KL Rahul for that matter who is going to walk in at number 4. Shreyas has done exceptionally well in this format. He has his weaknesses against short ball and it's always going to be exploited. But that doesn't mean he cannot win matches for India in white ball cricket. We have seen Suresh Raina do that time and again, despite his weaknesses against short ball as well. At this point in time, the first 11, I feel Rohit, Gill, Kohli, Shreyas, KL Rahul, Hardik Pandya, Jadeja, and then the bowling
bowlers,
attack.
Yeah. And another important thing is, especially about bowling attack, no off spinner. Can you what I mean? It looks like they have covered all the bases, except for the off spinner. How important do you think off spinner is, or it doesn't matter given how much they have covered?
I honestly don't know how to interpret this in a sense that it is a topic that has come up largely in the last 5-6 months. The lack of off spinner, but after 2017, India were very clear that they want to go into the wrist spin option, and they did really well. Apart from that one match against England, where Chahal and Kuldeep was taken apart by Bairstow and Jason Roy during the 2019 World Cup. But after that, they have tried different players. But now that Jadeja has sealed his spot as a spin bowling all-rounder, he also gives the batting depth. He has improved his batting drastically in the across formats. So, especially in 50 over cricket.
Yeah.
So, Jadeja seals one spot, there is only one spot left, and it's going to be a wrist spinner, especially since Rohit taken over. He has clearly thrown his weight behind wrist spinners, particularly Kuldeep Yadav. Right from his first press conference, he has spoken out about the significance of Kuldeep Yadav and how he will play a crucial role. Chahal's form has led to the downfall and is not in the 15-member squad, but Kuldeep takes the ball away from the left-hander as well, and he's not the same bowler as he was 2019. He's matured a lot, he's improved a lot technically as well, and he's worked on his aspects and variations as well. So I don't know how big a miss is going to be, but you also have to understand that what are the options that is available for the off spinner in this country. In the top 2 names at this point in time is probably R. Ashwin and Washington Sundar. And R. Ashwin, due credit to him, if he comes in, he probably will do the job for the team, but he hasn't been in the scheme of things with this particular Indian team management for white ball cricket for a long time now. T20, we know what his role is, and he played in the last T20 World Cup, and we know what he did in the match against Pakistan as well, but
cricket smarts.
yeah, but 50 over format, if they wanted an off spinner, they probably would have had him for a long time now, and I'm not really sure how bringing someone in the last minute would have disrupted the team combinations. The other option being Washington Sundar. He had a share of injuries in the last couple of years, but last 6 months he has been doing really well. He's not missed any matches, but and they probably could have used him better by picking him for West Indies or
Absolutely.
Ireland and all. But it seemed like their mind, the process they want to follow is clear, and the players they want to use for the World Cup is clear, because Akshar Patel is someone who, in my opinion, could probably be a better all-round option than Jadeja. But considering how the stature that Jadeja comes with, and the reputation that Jadeja comes with, Akshar has to wait for his turn. So essentially, it's between a throw-off between Akshar and the other off-spinner, and you can't really have. I'm not sure if we can have 4 spinners in a squad in the India World Cup, and also you have to remember that it's a professional squad. The teams can change till 28th, and even after that, if there is an injury, they'll always be allowed an injury replacement. And I don't think India have named any reserves as well so far, probably because they think, depending upon who gets injured, they might fly someone directly, considering it's a home World Cup. So you never know, but for now, you have to just come to terms with the way this selection committee and the team management is approaching this particular World Cup.
And just from the broader point of view, given the ups and downs of especially the ODI squad has been after the previous World Cup, where do you see this squad ending up in the World Cup? I know it's a very pointed question, but I still want to know from you where, just looking at the squad on paper, do you see this squad in the World Cup final?
Final is, I don't know about final, but if India don't make the semi-final, they would have to had a really poor tournament. What also helps, as Rohit spoke today, what also helps the team is that the kind of format they play, it's a round robin, so they play 9 league games. So even if someone gets injured, even if the combinations is not set in the first few games, they can always come back, and if they win 4 out of 9 games, they still have a shot at making the semi-final. Last time they came on top, but they still lost the semi-final. So if they don't make the semi-final, they would have had a really bad tournament.
And speaking about the road to the World Cup, they'll play Asia Cup, now they're in the Super Fours, and they'll play one ODI series against Australia in Hope. But at the same time, when we discussed the Asia Cup squad, we said that this is a comeback squad where the players who are injured are getting to come back to the team. But none of those players, 3 of them mainly, KL Rahul, Shreyas Iyer and Jasprit Bumrah, have actually gotten a lot more game practice. I think Shreyas Iyer did bit of a batting against Pakistan, but none of the others. So how are we thinking about that? Where do they get their practice?
Well, I think the Super 4 should be a good start, because they still play another round of games against Bangladesh, against Pakistan, and one more team, whoever wins between the Sri Lanka and Afghanistan clash. So those are 3 games against 3 really good bowling sides, and then there is an Asia Cup final, and there is a 3-match ODI series against Australia as well. So I think that will, and all this will end before if I'm not wrong, the final ODI between Australia and India is on September 27th. So all this will get over before the deadline for the final 15. So I think there's a fair bit of time and a fair number of games, probably 4 + 3, 7 games, and I think you can't really complain if a middle order goes untested, because that means the top order is doing really well, and you can't complain about your top order scoring runs. That's something that happened during the 2019 World Cup, where the top 3 the bulk of the scoring, and in the semi-final that didn't happen and they crumbled. But that's not been the case in the last 2 years or so. The middle order is constantly tried to rescue this team across formats, especially in red ball cricket.
And we've seen against Pakistan, that's the classic example of middle order standing up and doing what they're supposed to do, and both of Ishan Kishan and Hardik Pandya played that role really well. So I agree with you on that.
Exactly what you mentioned, Hardik Pandya, his role becomes all the more crucial, and he'll probably have to play someone who holds the middle order together where others bat around him. Ideal case scenario, I would probably have him at 5, but I think last World Cup he was still a very 25-year-old who can come in and take bowling attacks apart. He was used as a floater, but now he's not the same player anymore. He anchors the innings, he builds on it before actually taking on bowling attacks. So what he does will be very, very crucial for India's fortunes in this World Cup, because a lot of the grounds are very high scoring and there will be a lot. It's happening during monsoon. There will be rain interruptions, shortened games, which means, and then dew also comes into play, which means you might see a lot of high scoring games as well. So him, KL Rahul, Jadeja in that 5 to 7 holds a significant importance in how India fare in this tournament.
So that's most of the squad from us. If you want to suggest who should have replaced who, or if you're happy with this squad, most of the people are. Please let us know in the comments. And this has been the 4s and 6s from the New Indian Express. See you around.